but that's okay. But anyway, welcome, formal welcome now to you all. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you, folks on Zoom. I'm in the gallery mode, and we have a lot of folks here today. And we have a wonderful program ahead of you. This is our first Sunday format. We're blessed with this wonderful music, and we'll be Hank Robb will be doing a presentation very shortly. HGP believes strongly in freedom of speech, but the views expressed by myself, our musicians, today's speaker, HGP members, and our guests are not the official views of the Humanists of Greater Portland. We're going to have an kind of an opening song, and then Hank will begin his presentation.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living life this way. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You might say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You might say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
Our speaker today is our own Hank Robb. Dr. Robb has been practicing psychology professionally for more than 40 years. You know, I know Hank is the guy that yodels and sings cowboy songs at the talent show. And then I read what he's done, and he's a big deal. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here. But he's a board certified certified in counseling psychology, as well as behavioral and cognitive psychology. He is a level 2 supervisor with the Albert Ellis Institute, peer-reviewed acceptance and commitment therapy trainer. He has presented papers and workshops around the world and published more than 30 articles and book chapters. He's written a book entitled Willingly Act for Spiritual Development. Willingly Acknowledge, Willingly Choose, and Willingly Teach Others is available on Amazon.
Now, I've asked each of you who are here to take a moment and use the pen and paper over there to write down some event in your life where you were mistreated and you haven't forgiven that person or those circumstances or whatever it was. The point is, you know what it is. It's written on the card, and you hang on to the card. We're going to do something with that a little later on. The first thing I want to do is start out with a couple of activities. The first one I'm going to call centering. It goes by a lot of different names, but the reason I like to call it centering is the purpose is to help each person who's doing it be centered in the place that they actually are. So what I'd like you to do is to begin by noticing the way the floor and the furniture are supporting your body. There's a variety of sensations there, and you can make contact with them, noticing those sensations simply as they are, here and now. The firmness of the floor, a little bit of cushion in the seat. And you could make efforts to move around and change those sensations, and you could notice that as well. The same thing is true of the coming and going of your breath. Your body brings air in and lets air out. There's a variety of sensations associated with that. And you could notice them just as they are, or you could make efforts to change or alter them and notice that. Now, just as your body has air coming and going from it, you have thoughts and images. By thoughts, I mean those sort of radio programs inside your head. By images, I mean anything with a picture. It could be a still picture or a moving picture or a moving picture with sound. All of those would count. And they too come and go just like your breath. And you could make efforts to change or alter them, or you could simply notice them just as they are. And the thing about thoughts and images is they will often invite you to go traveling to some other place or time, to leave this moment and this place and travel someplace else. And just like you turn down other invitations, you could turn that invitation down, and rather than go traveling, you could remain in this moment and in this place. It's a little bit like sitting at a taxi cab stand. Cab pulls up, door opens, there's a thought or an image inviting you to get in and go traveling. And if you just sit watching the thought or image for a while, then in a little bit, the door closes, the cab leaves, another arrives, there's another thought or image inviting you to get in and go traveling. And if you behave as before, just noticing the thought or image, not making any efforts to change or alter it, in a little while, the door of that cab closes, the cab leaves, another arrives, and so on, and so on. And should you find that you have gone traveling with a thought or an image, once you realize it, you can immediately return to this moment and this place and the variety of experiences that are available right here, right now, such as the way the floor and the furniture are providing sensations for the coming and going of your breath. And so when you have that sense of being right here, right now, then the people in the room, so that I can see them, just raise your hand and let me know that you're here now. Now, as I was speaking, how many of you found yourself becoming more relaxed? A little bit. Now, you may have noticed I never said anything about relaxing. The only thing I talked about was making contact with experiences that are here and now. I didn't say anything about closing your eyes either, although a lot of people did. With your eyes open, you can see there are no lions or tigers or bears here. It's a safe place. And when you experience some place as safe, the energy level in your body does tend to go down. Similarly, if your eyes are closed and you're contacting thoughts and images and bodily sensations, simply as a bunch of thoughts and images and bodily sensations, there's nothing dangerous about that either. And so you tend to have your energy level go down. Now, the point I want to bring forward is that is simply a side effect of being in the moment that you're in when there is no sense of danger present. It's not the point of becoming centered. The point of becoming centered is not to become relaxed. It's to become present in the moment that you're actually in. If there was some danger in this moment, much more useful to be present in it so you can deal more effectively with the danger than have traveled off to someplace else. Now, it is useful sometimes. I think I left my cup over there somewhere. Thank you. Thanks. So what I'd like you to do now is, sure it doesn't fall over. I'm going to ask you to imagine that your hands are cupped. And with your hands cupped, if you have a feather, it lies gently in your hands. But if you had my porcupine here, it wouldn't be so gentle, but you could still hold it gently in your hands. And in a few moments, I'm going to talk about holding things gently. So that's the little metaphor I want you to keep in view. And in this case, I am going to ask you to be focusing on your bodily sensations. And so I will invite you to close your eyes so that you won't be distracted by the things around you. Now just begin at the top of your head and let your attention begin drifting down through your body, looking for places of tension. I don't know where the first one will be. Could be in your forehead, around your eyes, your jaws. May not be till you get all the way down to your knees before you find that place of tension. But when you find it and you get there, you'll notice that it can be divided into two parts. One part you seem to have some say or control over, and the other part you don't. Now, I don't know if the part you have some say or control over is 1% or 50%. I have no idea what it is, but you do. And whatever part that you do have some say or control over, I invite you to dismiss or release, turn loose of, let go of that amount of tension. And whatever remains, we already know you can't do anything with it, so just hold it gently and move on to the next place of tension and repeat that process. Notice the portion of tension that you can release and let it go, and the part you can't, just hold it gently and move on to the next place, and so on and so on, until finally you reach the tips of your fingers and the tips of your toes. And once you're there, so that I will know that you've completed this process, just raise your hand in case I may not be able to see your eyes open up. You can also open your eyes once you've completed the process. Now, how many of you found that you are more relaxed now than you are when you did that little activity? Some of you. And the ones that found themselves more relaxed, if we said that the beginning was 100%, and we're going to ask you how much decrease you've gone, is it now 90%, 95%, 50%? How many found that it's some percentage less than it was? So what percent now? 10% less. So 90 to 85. Anybody else? 10% less. Anybody else? Somebody else had their hand up.
50 maybe.
Maybe 50%. So it took a very long time to be directly focused on reducing tension, because many of you had already reduced your tension just as a side effect of being centered in a place that is a safe place. But if you really want to focus on reducing tension, then use a tension reduction activity like the one I just showed you, rather than a centering activity where relaxation is simply going to be a side effect. So, any questions about that? Let me show you one more thing. I invite you to put your hand on your nose and then have this thought: I have a nose. If you're thinking that thought, raise your hand so I will know. Okay, we got everybody thinking that thought. Is that thought true? Yes. Is that thought your nose? Now, if you think it is, squeeze a little bit on your nose. No, that thought is not your nose. Now, the point is, whatever we think about is not the thing that we are thinking about. If we think about our nose, our thought is not our nose. If we think about dangerous things, our thoughts are not the dangerous things. So it's useful to remind yourself that no matter what you are thinking, that is never the thing that you are thinking about. Thoughts are not dangerous, even if the things that you are thinking about might be. Bodily sensations are not dangerous. They're simply bodily sensations. Now, we often have a lot of thoughts about our bodily sensations, and then we forget those are only thoughts. So you have a heart pounding, and you think, oh, maybe I'm having a heart attack. And then instead of noticing, well, there's a thought, you think that thought is having a heart attack. So your thoughts and images and bodily sensations, when contacted as thoughts and images and bodily sensations, are not dangerous. All right. Okay, now, when I ask you to do those activities, I ask you, you can notice something, and everybody seemed to be able to do that. Yes? All right. So I want to take you to the place that I call the place from which we notice things. So notice anything. Again, you can notice your bodily sensations. They're easy. They're always right here, right now. And if I ask you who's noticing those bodily sensations, you'll have some thought like me or I am. And it ought to immediately be clear that blah, 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 that is not what's doing the noticing. That's a lot of talk. But those words are pointing to an aspect of your being from which you can notice things. And I'm going to give you a kind of funny instruction, but I'd like you to try and follow it because I think you can. Take yourself to that place. Well, what place am I talking about? The place from which you can notice things. And when you get there, I think you will discover that not only can you notice things from that place, you can even notice that you're noticing from that place. Anybody not having the experience of being at the place from which you can notice and even notice that you're noticing? Well, there is a sense of possessing a mind and a body when you're at this place, rather than being a mind or a body. If I ask you, who has the mind and the body that is yours, you're very likely to say, me, right? But the me that answers the question is not a thought. We've already seen a thought is not the thing you're thinking about. And it's not your body because the body is something you possess. So this is a kind of an interesting aspect of human beings. This place from which they can notice things and notice that they're noticing. They also can have this sense, oh, I possess, I have a body, I have a mind. That kind of talk makes sense when you go to this place. It hasn't changed in the way your body and mind have changed. When you were 8, you had a very different body and a very different mind than the one you have now. But this aspect of you that notices and notices that you've noticed doesn't seem to have changed in the radical way that your body and mind have changed. Everybody here able to have that kind of experience? There's a sense when you're there often of being in the eye of a hurricane. It's thoughts and images and bodily sensations kind of spinning around. But when you're at this place, you have a sense of stability. And the reason I point that out is because people are often looking for things in life that are stable. And if you can bring yourself to this place, you can find that place of stability while thoughts and images and bodily sensations are spinning around. And finally, a sense of control of your hands and arms and feet and mouth, if not your thoughts and images. If I say, Jack and Jill went up there's a very good chance all of you in your head thought hill, but everybody could keep their mouth shut. So that's another interesting aspect about this part of you, this place from which, while you may not have a lot of control at that place over your thoughts and images, you do have a lot of control over your hands and arms and feet and mouth. So let me give you a little example of a way to bring this home. This is going to be a get up and move around exercise and say things out loud exercise. So I want to have a way for us in this room to become quiet again. And here's the method I suggest. When I raise my hand and you see that my hand is up, stop talking and raise yours so that everybody else will see that we're all raising our hands and stop talking. Okay, so here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you again to imagine cupping your hands. And in your hands, you don't have the feather, you've got old Spiky. And what I'm going to ask you to say is, I cannot walk over to the door and I cannot walk over to the wall and back with this much pain. And the pain you're holding metaphorically is my little metaphorical porcupine, but you may have your own pain that you're quite familiar with, and you can use that pain as well. Now, while you're saying, I cannot walk over to the wall and back, I'm going to give you an instruction. And I want you to follow the instruction, but I want you to keep saying, I cannot walk over to the wall and back. All right, everybody ready? I cannot walk over to the wall and back. I'm with this much pain. I cannot walk over to the wall and back with this much pain. And while you're saying it, get up and walk over to the wall and back. Keep saying, I cannot walk over to the wall and back with this much pain. I cannot walk over to the wall and back with this much pain. I cannot walk over to the wall and back with this much pain. I cannot walk over to the wall and back with this much pain. Cannot walk over to the wall and back with this much pain. Cannot walk over to the wall and back with this much pain. Cannot walk over to the wall and back with this much pain. Cannot walk over to the wall and back with this much pain. Cannot walk over to the wall and back with this much pain. And once you're seated, I want you to switch to, I cannot stay seated with this much pain. I must stand up. Seated with this much pain, I must stand up. I cannot stay seated with this much pain. I must stand up. Cannot stay seated. Really? Now, is your thought the thing that you're thinking about? It's a little Simon Says. Just because you're thinking, I cannot stay seated with this much pain, I must stand up. Do you have to do it?
You don't have to, but you sure want it.
Yes. And that's an important point. We don't always have to do something we strongly want to do. That's how we can live a more fulfilling life, because it's a very good chance we will be alive tomorrow to regret what we did today. Or to be very pleased with what we did today. So when you're at this place from which control of your hands and arms and feet and mouth is very high, whether your thoughts and images are very well controlled or not, and bodily sensations, that desire, I want to do it. I'm saying it, oh, because I'm saying it or I'm thinking it, now I don't have control of my hands and arms and feet and mouth. Well, where's the place that you do have control of your hands and arms and feet and mouth? That place from which. Everybody clear? Okay, got one more. We're going to get you up and moving around again. I call this one two banners because I'm going to ask you to get up and walk over to the wall and back. And while you're traveling, I want you to travel under a banner, so to speak. And the banner is, I have to, I have to, I have to. And just for drama, I want you to say it out loud. I have to, I have to, I have to. And while you're traveling over to the wall and back, I also want you to add one thing. I want you to do it grudgingly. All right, are you ready? I have to, I have to, I have to, done grudgingly. I have to, have to, I have to, I have to, have to, I have to. Do it grudgingly now. Have to, have to, have to, I 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 have to, have to, have to, I have to, have to, I have to, I have to, I have to. Great. Now come on back if you're not already back. This time I want you to make the same journey, but I want you to go under a different banner. And this banner is, I choose to, I choose to, I choose to, and I want you to do it willingly rather than grudgingly, right? So here we go, same to the wall and back. I choose to, I choose to, I choose to, I choose to.
Choose to. I 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 choose to. Yes. I choose to. I choose.
Okay. When you all get back, pretty close, you made exactly the same journey. Which way did you prefer to travel? Right? Yes. I have never had someone say, oh, I really prefer, I have grudgingly. Now, I want to point out an interesting thing about this. Did you notice I don't have to teach you what it is to do something grudgingly or willingly? You already know. I don't know how young I'd have to start in order to find someone who, when I say do it grudgingly, they go, I don't know what that is to do something grudgingly, right? And also, what you can notice is that's a choice. You can choose grudgingly or willingly. You can't choose want to, but you can choose doing something willingly, whether you want to or not. And where is the place those choices are most readily made? That place from which? The place that I have a mind and I have a body. This is not my mind. This is not my body. This is another aspect of my being. A place from which I can make choices like what I do with my hands and arms and feet and mouth, and the way I do it, willingly or grudgingly. So while sorrow is painful and deflating, righteous indignation is anesthetizing and energizing. You don't hurt so much and you're ready, more ready to get going. And this is partly why I call righteous indignation the drug of choice for humans. The generic version of righteous indignation, the drug of choice for humans, is person rating. You may have heard the notion, rate behavior, not people. If you hung around the Christian tradition at all, you may have heard, hate the sin, but love the sinner. Don't rate people's personhood. Demandingness is the second part. The world must go a certain way, namely mine. And finally, entitlement. I'm owed, I deserve, I'm entitled to something. Now, if you, in the world that we're actually living in, if you get down to the specifics, it usually sounds something like this. You nasty name, bitch, bastard, whatever, Republican. You, or Democrat, right? You must not treat me this way. I'm entitled or I deserve something different. So righteous indignation is not deep desire. It's not grit. It's not determination. And it's not stick-to-itiveness. And it's important to distinguish those things because I don't want you to give up your deep desires or your grit or determination or your stick-to-itiveness. That won't help you. But righteous indignation usually gets in the way of living the most fulfilling life that you can. One might think of person rating, demandingness, and entitlement as the fire triangle of righteous indignation. That's a little like putting together fuel and oxygen and spark. If you put person rating and demandingness and entitlement together, gets folks all fired up. And often they'll use the metaphor of the pressure cooker to explain their quote unquote angry behavior. So the pressure's building up. If I don't let off some steam, the pot, namely me, is going to blow up. What they forget is they could turn down the flame. And The thing is, when you're the avenging angel of the universe who's been sent to fix their freaking wagon, it typically feels pretty good. So it can be a little tricky to give up because it feels good. So go to the place from which and choose not to take seriously person rating, demandingness, and entitlement. Because that's a place from which, while you might not be able to control the thoughts, you do have a chance not to take them seriously. Think this thought: I'm a banana. Are you thinking it? Are you taking it seriously? No, because while you may not have a choice about what you think or what your bodily sensations are giving you, you do have a choice about how seriously you take them. And things that don't help you do what you want to do in the moment are not helpful to take seriously. And if you go to that place from which, you don't have to take them seriously. Now, you can show yourself that these three things also don't make any sense. We're all born human beings. We're going to die human beings. There's no chance of being something else along the line. Even people with genetic defects like Down syndrome or Tay-Sachs disease, they're human beings with genetic defects. They're not some other kind of being. Now, if you really want to work on this, you can try Donald Trump is a human being. So, yeah, come on, Donald Trump. Yeah, it wasn't hard yet. Now we're going to say it. Donald Trump is a human being just like me. Donald Trump is a human being just like me. Kind of chokes to get it out sometimes. And that's for a lot of people in this room. You could try Kamala Harris. You could try whoever it is that makes that lump show up in your throat and go to work on. They are members of the human family, just like me. Demandingness. The world must go a certain way. If it had to, it would already be going that way, and you wouldn't be complaining about it. How many of you have heard the story of Albert Einstein saying the universe does not play dice? Now, I think the actual quote goes, God does not play dice with the universe. Well, I didn't know until recently that Niels Bohr was at the conference where Einstein first said these words, and Bohr's response was, Einstein, quit telling God what to do. So the reason things happen, you might say, is because all the molecules in the universe were where they were at that moment. That's why. Now, if you want to complain that they were there, that's fine, but that doesn't change their being there. Demandingness will land me less than what I really want. And entitlement. We can make agreements. We can make deals with people. If you do X, I'll do Y. And then when you do X, you say to whoever you made the agreement with, okay, I'm entitled, I deserve to get Y. That's fine, but don't people sometimes back out? And does the universe come rushing in and say, no, 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 backing out in this universe, we don't allow that here? You know, maybe you can go to court, maybe you can get, if you can get in, sometimes you can't, maybe you can get a judgment, and maybe you can get the judgment enforced, but sometimes you can't get it enforced. But the world is not underwriting our contracts, and that's assuming you had a contract in the first place. Because are you sure that other person made an agreement? Or did you just imagine that they did? Furthermore, Anyone you know can make an agreement with the universe? I don't think so. So if you're looking for ways to give up, to not take seriously person rating, demandingness, entitlement, those are some things that might be helpful. But again, when you're at that place from which you can simply choose, you can simply decide, I'm not going to take that seriously. Any questions right now? Okay. So I'm going to talk about forgiveness. I asked, by forgiveness, I mean no longer holding the facts against someone. So earlier, I asked everyone who was here to fill out a piece of paper with an experience you had where you were mistreated and you hadn't forgiven the person. So what I want to have you do is now to have some experience. And if I can get with your cards, you got a card? Come this way. Come this way. Three of you come this way.
Let's rotate this.
Okay. Now, take your index finger and hold that against her deltoid muscle. So with your index finger, now you come this way. You do the same with your index finger. You hold the card against her deltoid with your index finger.
Yes, okay.
Okay. And now,
Okay.
there you go.
Yeah.
Now, with this threesome, everyone can be holding the facts against someone. So circle up in groups of three and make yourself into this arrangement. And if you don't have a card, just go get a blank one over there. And if there's an odd person out, come on, Barcats, there's one person here you can help. Then if one person's left out or two people are left out, just make it a group of four. Just make it a little bit bigger. The thing is, it won't work with just two people. Okay. Now, when you're holding those facts against someone, again, with only one finger, with only your index finger, I want you to push hard enough to hurt them. Okay? And they can tell you, you're not pushing hard enough. You're not hurting me yet. So push harder. And when you pushed hard enough to hurt them, is there anybody who doesn't have the experience of it hurts my finger when I push hard enough to hurt them? Now that's what happens if you hold the facts hard enough against someone. It not only hurts them, it hurts you too. So just hold the facts against them lightly, okay? Just lightly. Now, while you're holding the facts against them lightly, try to go somewhere. Yeah, it turns out even if you hold the facts against someone lightly, it still harms you because it makes it difficult to move around in the world. So forgiveness is you just stop holding the facts against them. Now take your cards and go sit back down. Now, those of you who wrote the facts on your card, or maybe you just wrote an X to stand for the facts, take a look at your card. Is that card the facts, or is it a bunch of writing on a card? The facts are somewhere else. They're not here anymore. The only thing that's here is a lot of blah, 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 right? And maybe some bodily sensations while you're blah, 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 right? Mostly, the things that we're holding against people aren't even here anymore. And sometimes it's more like holding the facts against a desk or the wall. They're dead, or they're in another country. They're not here. The only person who's suffering is you, right? You're going to really show them. And then, of course, the one that we're all often running into is, right, holding the facts against ourselves, and then we're on both ends of the continuum. So that's what forgiveness is about. It's not about forgetting the facts. It's not about excusing the facts. It's not about understanding the facts. And it's not about explaining the facts. It's simply changing your relationship to the facts. So a lot of people will say, I forgive and forget. I don't want you to forget. But you can stop holding the facts against someone, including yourself. And why would you? Because a more fulfilling life does not include this all the time. It's primarily for the forgiver, forgiveness, because it frees you from endlessly holding the facts against someone or something. Any questions about what I'm talking about with forgiveness? Now, where can you best do what you just did? If you call on your body to do it, I feel like forgiving. Well, righteous indignation, man, it feels pretty good. If you call on your thoughts, oh, I'll just stop thinking nasty things, makes it much harder. But if you take yourself to that place the place from which you notice, oh, I've got a lot of control over my hands and arms and feet and mouth. I have a lot of control over how seriously I take what I am thinking, what I'm remembering. And why do I stop taking it seriously? Because it's not helping me live the fulfilling life that I want to live. Any questions? Okay, let's talk about reconciliation. Now, for a lot of folks, forgiveness and reconciliation are the same thing. Reconciliation is giving them, whoever they are, the chance to hurt you again, including hurting you again in exactly the same way they did the last time, right? And for some people, as I said before, unless you're willing to give them that chance, people will say, well, you haven't forgiven them. Now, I don't encourage that distinction, because it is not always useful to give people the chance to hurt you again in the same way that they did before. This comes up in my work, or has come up in my work, with typically women who have been sexually mistreated at some time in their younger days by someone in their family, but who still want to go to the family reunion. So they go, but they never take a chance to be in the room alone or let any child in the room alone with the person who mistreated them. So you can forgive someone, but not reconcile with them. Again, forgiveness does not generally require reconciliation. The exceptions include reconciling with yourself. It's very hard not to be with you or with the world in general. Now, if you take the exit, then you won't have to reconcile with the world. What kind of place is this anyway? I didn't sign up for this, but here we are. So those two things I would encourage. I'm going to give myself a chance to screw up again. I'm going to try not to, but I already know how to screw up. I did it once already. But I'm going to try to do something else this time, but I'm going to reconcile with myself. And it's mainly for the person or persons with whom you reconcile. Forgiveness is mainly for you. Reconciliation is for them, although you can do it grudgingly with a closed heart or willingly with an open heart. Now, a good example I run into with this is couples where there's been some kind of marital infidelity and they stay together. They look like they're reconciled, but not really, because they're with each other with a closed heart. It's a grudging experience being together. They are being together, they're giving the person the chance to hurt them again, even in the same way, but their heart is closed. So again, doing something willingly, doing something grudgingly applies to forgiveness. It applies to reconciliation. Reconciliation, you might say, is an exciting adventure. Now, what do I mean by that? You don't know for sure how things are going to turn out, and there's some sense of danger. That's an adventure, right? Adventures are taking risks. If you knew how it was going to turn out, it wouldn't be an adventure. If you want to ruin an adventure novel, you turn to the last 30 pages and you read how that turned out. Only with our lives, we can't really turn to the last 30 pages. I mean, we know what the last sentence is, and then they died. But other than the last sentence. Now, why do I say it's an exciting adventure? Because you wouldn't reconcile unless you thought something cool could come out of it. If you thought it was going to be the same old lousy stuff it's always been, why would you give them another chance? So you can sort of notice there are two pedals you can push on. One, the pedal that says danger, 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 or the other one, something cool could come out of this. Push on the danger, danger, danger pedal, you'll feel more fearful. Push on the something cool could come out of this, you feel more excited. Where can you make a choice about which pedal you're pushing? That place from which? Now, oh, well, I'll think it. But we think a lot of things, we don't take them seriously. But we can choose whether we push something cool could come out of this or danger, danger, danger. So let's look now at what I call the formula for spiritual liberation. By willingly doing something unpleasant and willingly refraining from doing something pleasant in the service of something I choose to make more important, I'll never have to respond slavishly to circumstances either inside or outside my skin. You're no longer forced to live a certain kind of life. And you can choose to do those things willingly rather than grudgingly. And what was it like when you traveled, I have to, I have to, I have to, grudgingly? Compared to, I choose to, I choose to, I choose to, willingly. Now, the formula for human serenity in action. May I willingly acknowledge I have given up on the word acceptance. In this culture, we say things like, that's not acceptable. I think MS Now, that's not acceptable, comes out of somebody's mouth about 50 times a day, right? So we end up with a confusion about the word acceptance, because sometimes people think it means willingly acknowledge, but other times they think it means agree. And if you ask people to agree with things they don't agree with, then you're asking something that's not very likely to happen. So also, there's a difference between willingly acknowledging and grudgingly acknowledging. Life as I find it, as life is, was, or may be, even though I may not approve of what I find. Wisdom to see what would be good to change or continue. Willingly act and willingly follow through. Getting the ball rolling is not the same thing as keeping it rolling. And be grateful for the opportunity to live my life as best I can. Now, you can see that I've talked about wisdom here. What is wisdom? Wisdom is you act right now so that later you'll be glad you acted the way you did. That's the reason I changed living for today in imagine. If you live for today, right? Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. Trouble is, tomorrow comes and we're not dead. You got a big mess to clean up. So what you want to do to live a fulfilling life is to act today, either to do something or refrain from doing something, so that later you'll be glad you acted that way. Now, later may be tomorrow, but it also might be weeks, months, years from now. Now, I'm a humanist. Later is not after you're dead. Later is here, but sometime here. So wisdom is about, I'm going to act now in the service of the life I'm really interested in, which is going to show up tomorrow or the next day or the next day. Grateful for the opportunity to try and live my life as best I can. Every other being on the planet except human beings are living the life as best they can. They don't have choices in the way that we do because they don't have ends in view. When is the last time you saw a rabbit with a calendar or any other organism? They are not doing, well, in July, I plan to be in. That's not, I'm going to graduate from whatever it is in X amount of time. They don't operate like that, but we do. And we don't know if we'll succeed, but we have an opportunity to try. As far as we know, we're the only beings that have that. And I want to suggest it's something to be grateful for. Now, if you want to work on gratitude, gratitude is, I don't deserve it. I just got lucky. Because as soon as you deserve it, why are you grateful? You deserved it to begin with. Right? So don't look for things that you're entitled to and try to be grateful for them. Look for things you were just lucky about and be grateful for those. Although I will say, if you do a little looking, you'll find that a lot of what's happening, you're just lucky. Just lucky.
Hank, I am just so touched by this presentation and the learning I did today. I really am. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful. I am grateful for what you just did for us. And I think there was a lot of insight to start the new year, to start a better life. Thank you. I much appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll take.
I
Yeah,
should
of
say one
course.
more thing.
Of course.
Now, how many of you found the things that I showed you, the things you participated in or I talked about, would be helpful to you in living a more fulfilling life? Did I say anything about health?
No.
No, none of this has to do with health.
Right.
It has to do with living a life that for you speaks to those deep and enduring desires, the ones that are more than just passing. And that's why I think it's important that when you're addressing any of these kinds of activities, what are they about? They're not about living a healthy life. They're about living a fulfilling life. They're based not on health, they're based on wisdom. What helps me live the way that I most deeply and enduringly want to live.
Yes.
So I should have finished up with that.
That's
And now I
wonderful.
have.
Now you have. Thank you, Hank, so much. We will take some questions for about 10 minutes or so. I have one question here at Zoom. If you want to ask a question here at Friendly House, please raise your hand and Leslie will give you a number. But let's start with my own husband, who's home with not feeling so well, but I'm glad you're going to ask a question. Al, come on in, Al, and ask Hank a question. Can we hear you, bud?
I just unmuted.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. Go
Okay.
ahead and ask a question.
Okay, Hank, I kind of agree with what you're telling me, but I kind of think the place from which it isn't a place, it's a system, and it's a system of acquired adaptive behaviors that we've picked up over hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, and that you said, well, rabbits don't carry a calendar, but hell, even locusts know that they have to come out every 13, 17, or 19 years because those are prime numbers, and they hit those right on the nose. So,
Al, go ahead and ask your question,
so
please.
isn't the evolutionary adaptation what we've all got in common?
Yes, I will try to answer your question this way. If you wanted me to give a science explanation of how does this place from which show up, I can do that. Mostly because we now have a behavioral theory of language called relational frame theory. And relational frame theory gives an account of how language works, basically by treating one thing as if it were another. Remember, I pointed out thoughts about things aren't the things the thoughts are about, except that treating the things we think about as if they are the things that our thoughts are about is the way we do anything. That's how we have calendars. We treat some bunch of marks either on a tablet or I still work off paper, as if those are the days. Right. Think about ghost stories. How would they work except treating blah, blah, blah as if it were something really scary? Right. If you go to Macbeth and the people up there are a bunch of actors, you wasted your money. If you put money down on a novel and you read it and it's, oh, it's a bunch of words, you wasted your money. Now, a byproduct of our ability to treat one thing as if it were another is, at least as far as I can tell, this place from which, this place that makes it seem like I have a mind and I have a body, that there is some aspect of us that is other than our mind and our body. But it's a very useful thing because we can do things that we otherwise wouldn't be able to do. How many people have been up and seen a sunrise or a sunset? Now, the fact that you all held up your hands, does that mean that you agree that the sun goes around the earth? But you said sunrise. You said sunset. The way we use language does not have to be taken literally. So when I'm talking about a place from which, it's not a literal place. That's what makes it so interesting, is that it's not a literal place. It's a function of language, and it's turned out to be evolutionary, very useful, I think, as Al was pointing out. One of the problems that human beings have is that they are under two evolutionary pushes. One is the push for individual selection. But we now have pretty good evidence that there is also a thing called group selection, that groups can outcompete each other. And so it's not just the individual that survives, but it's the group that survives. And all of us are living with the evolutionary pressure of individual survival, group survival, individual survival, group survival. E.O. Wilson is a biologist named E.O. Wilson said, if group survival wins out, then you get ants. We won't be human beings anymore if group selection is the only thing that's operating. So it's a tough thing being a human being, but one of the advantages is, or one of the aspects, I guess I could say, is this ability to notice that you're noticing, to make choices with your hands and arms and feet and mouth, etc. I hope that answers Al's question.
I'm sure it did. Kurt Mackey has a comment here over Zoom. Does reading the horrors of history help us live a more fulfilling life?
Well, maybe only from the standpoint of how lucky we are that we're not experiencing them right now. On the other hand, I used to try to show people that things could be a lot worse than they are. I call it a badness scale. You know, how bad is this thing you're putting up with, by saying, compared to what's happening over at X part of the world. And then people would say things to me like, well, that doesn't happen here.
Yeah.
So if we can do a little bit better at noticing humanity has this long history, and just because it's not happening to us here right now, it can happen, it does happen, and it can make us more appreciative of what we are actually having, but it also can make us more attentive to, let's not have any more of that.
Right. Right. Are there any questions from the Friendly House? Do we have a number? Anybody have a number? Number one? No, we don't. Okay.
In that case, let me just say, thank you very much for the opportunity to present these things. I hope that you'll take them away and find something useful in them.
Yeah. Yeah. Hank, I just wanted to ask, I want to ask a question then. Okay. You know, you started us off with relaxation. I mean, and I'm thinking, where's he going with this? And was that helping us find that, to really experience that center of the hurricane, the eye of the hurricane? I would really appreciate your thought process on that. Do we need to get into relaxation to find that again as we leave this room?
Well, as I hope I pointed out, there's a difference between being centered in the moment you're actually in and being relaxed. If you want to be relaxed, aim directly at relaxation. If you want to be focused and be in the moment that you're actually in, then do activities that get you there. And the reason is because if there is danger, if there is difficulty, if you want to live a more fulfilling life, you'll have to deal effectively with things that are dangerous and difficult. And if you've traveled off to someplace else, if you've taken that taxi ride, oh, this means that, when it has nothing to do with what's going on right here, right now, you won't do as well. And yes, if you take yourself to that place from which, the place that you can notice what's going on, where you can notice your bodily sensations, where you can notice your thoughts, where you can choose what you do with your hands and arms and feet and mouth, then I think you have a much better chance of living the kind of fulfilling life that you're interested in living.
Yeah. We have a question. Very good.
A little more about the process of forgiveness. Like, when is it a helpful and productive technique versus maybe it delves into rumination or spirals out of control? Like, how often do you do it? Is it an exercise that you do like centering or relaxation?
If you take that card and if there's nobody else around, just put it up against the wall. How many times, if you put it up against the wall, are you unable to do this? So people think forgiveness is something like it's one and done. No, it's as often as you find yourself holding the facts against someone or something. And as soon as you find yourself holding the facts against something, it's either hurting you, really holding it hard, or it's inhibiting you. Then turn loose, let go. And notice, is this even happening now? Or is this a bunch of thoughts and images? So forgiveness can happen as often as you find yourself holding the facts against someone or something. And I would recommend, as often as you find yourself doing that, move your finger.
Yeah.
Now, reconciliation, that's a different problem, because there are people with whom you don't want to give them a chance.
For doing more group activities like this for healing, because I feel like healing happens so much better in group settings, but it's hard to know where those resources are. So I really appreciate everyone today engaging, but yeah, I don't know if you have any recommendations for us to keep doing this work. I think
Where three or more are gathered together. Then you can make a little circle and you can practice forgiving.
Yeah. Thank you, Hank. Any more questions? And
Go.
Kay.
Joyce, I think you have a question. We've got about one more minute. Go ahead.
I just recently had an experience where I felt that the person I had this grudge against, if you want to put it that way, that we were moving toward a reconciliation. And so I opened up and I offered something. And when the answer I got was so ridiculous that I realized we were not moving toward reconciliation. And so I felt like I almost, I got lighter because I could see how silly it was. So I started laughing at it. But I can find that I can laugh at it, but I also have these thoughts that, well, if I step back and don't respond anymore, pretty soon that person will see how ridiculous he or she is. And I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe somehow there's going to be a reckoning of sorts here. And I'm trying to think right now, well, that's pretty ridiculous as well.
Yes, if you are trying to take the risk out of taking a risk, good luck. Hope that works for you. And also, typically, when you take a risk, you feel the risk. And the name of that feeling is afraid. Nothing's wrong. So a lot of people come to me in my professional work and they say, here's what I'm interested in. I would like to take a risk and not feel it. I've been trying this, been trying this, been trying this. Give it up. They're bodily sensations. They don't harm you. They might make it a little more difficult to do the thing you want to do, but they don't harm you. And if you push on, something cool could come out of this, then you will have more excitement. But if I heard you correctly, if you realize nothing cool is going to come out of this, then you'll stop taking the risk and you won't feel afraid either.
Right.
I'll feel lighter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Dr. Hank Robb's book is available on Amazon entitled Willingly Act for Spiritual Development. And if we need to know more, I think we can look at Amazon and find it. But thank you, Hank, for all you've done for us today. I think we're going to walk away better people. I do believe that.
Nothing you can do can't be done. Nothing you can sing can't be sung. Nothing you can say, but you can learn how to play the game. It's easy. Nothing you can make that can't be made. No one you can save that can't be saved. Nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be you in time. It's easy.
You can do it willingly. Yes, you really can. You can do it willingly. Yes, you really can. You can do it willingly. Yes, you really can.
Nothing you can know that isn't known. Nothing you can see that isn't shown. Nothing you can be that isn't where you're meant to be. It's easy.
You can do it willingly. Yes, you really can. You can do it willingly. Yes, you really can. You can do it willingly. Yes, you really can.
Keep repeating it.
You can do it willingly. You can do it willingly. Yes, you really can. You can do it willingly. Yes, you really can.
Okay.
We're lucky we made it through it. Thank you, everyone. This is a volunteer band. Anyone can join. Let us know.
Play anything you want.
When you're down and troubled
And you need some love and care.
and nothing,
No, nothing is going right.
close your eyes and think of me, and
Soon I will be there
to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. You've got a friend. The sky above you should grow dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind begins to blow. Keep your head together. You just call my name out loud, and soon you'll hear me knocking upon your door. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running, running, yeah, yeah, to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, hey now, all you gotta do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. Hey, ain't it good to know that you've got a friend when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you, yes, and desert you, that take your soul if you let them. Ah, but don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running, yeah, to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, hey, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. You've got a friend, and you got a friend. Ain't it good to know you got a friend? Ain't it good to know? Ain't it got a friend? Ain't it good to know? Good to know you got a friend. Oh, good to know you got a friend. Oh, baby, you got a friend. That's oh, honey, and you got a friend.
Thank you, everyone. You've got a friend in us.
Beyond. My friends, please, please, please take good care of yourself on this wintry January day and for this whole week until you come back to us next Sunday because you are
3 minutes late means I'm right on time. Well, I'm going away 'cause I got a busted heart. I'm leaving today. If this travel all will start, reckon where I'm headed, I might need me different clothes. Way up in Michigan, where the Laughing River flows. "20 years in the minor leagues, ain't no place I didn't go. Well, I got me some hits, but I never made the show. I could go on for a few years, doing like I'd done before. We're gonna let the Laughing River flow right on by my door. Now my cousin Ray, he says he's got a job for me, where the houses are cheap and he knows a nice lady. Said she even saw me play once. Said she smiled at my name. Upon the Laughing River could be a brand new game. So goodbye to the bus, goodbye to paying dues, goodbye to the cheers, goodbye to the booze.
Gonna trade in this old bat for a fishing pole. Gonna let the Laughing River flow right on through my soul. Well, I'm going away 'cause I got a busted heart. I'm leaving today. If this travel always starts, now I reckon where I'm headed, I might need me different clothes. Way up in Michigan, where the Laughing River flows. Way up in Michigan, where the Laughing River flows. Way up in Michigan. Well, the sun is surely sinking down, but the moon is slowly rising. So this old world must still be spinning round, and I still love you. So close your eyes. You can close your eyes. It's all right. Now I don't know no love songs, and I can't sing the blues anymore, but I can sing this song. And you can sing this song when I'm gone. It won't be long before another day we're gonna have a good time, and no one's gonna take that time away. You can stay as long as you like. So close your eyes. You can close your eyes. It's all right. Now, I don't know no love songs, and I can't sing the blues anymore, but I can sing this song, and you can sing this song when I'm gone. So close your eyes. You can close your eyes. It's all right. I don't know no love songs, and I can't sing the blues anymore, but I can sing this song,
and you can sing this song when I'm gone. That sounds good. Here's one we wrote with our cousin Bob. Hello, lovely smiling girl. You're spilling sunshine on my life, making me float like leaves upon a pond of penny dreams. Defining warm as something new, showing me soft like a memory lost. Your magic comes through with every move, every word's a friend. So I died in the stars as I lived in the flame of a candle. And whoever you are, you have been good for my life. Smile, Bronwyn, live, and when your life's a question, know it did answer mine. I don't need to know your deeper self, for I'm here and gone, but know this well. A poet survived within by simply saying Bronwyn's name. So I died in the stars as I lived in the flame of a candle. And whoever you are, you have been good for my life. Smile, Bronwyn, live, and when your life's a question, know it did answer mine. Bronwyn, save a smile, especially for me. And smile, Bronwyn, live, and when your life's a question, know it did answer mine. Yes, it did answer mine. I'm standing in the doorway with my head down in my hands, not knowing where to sit, not knowing where I stand. My father looms above me, and for him there is no rest. My mother's arms enfold me and hold me to her breast. They say you've been out wandering, they say you've traveled far. Sit down, young stranger, and tell us who you are. Well, the room is all gone misty, my thoughts are all in a spin. Sit down, young stranger, and tell us where you've been. Well, I've been out to the mountains, I walked down by the sea. I never questioned no one, and no one questioned me. My love was given freely, and oft times was returned. I never came to borrow, I only came to learn. At times it did get lonely, but it taught me how to cry. And the laughter came too quickly for life to pass me by. I never had a dollar that I didn't earn with pride, 'cause I had a million daydreams to keep me satisfied. And will you gather daydreams, or will you gather wealth? How can you find your fortune if you cannot find yourself? My mother's eyes grow misty, there's a trembling in her hands. Sit down, young stranger, I do not understand. Will you try and tell us that you've been too long at school? That knowledge is not needed, that power does not rule. That war is not the answer, that young men should not die. Sit down, young stranger, I'll wait for your reply. Well, the answer is not easy, for souls are not reborn. To wear the crown of peace, you must wear the crown of thorns. If Jesus had a reason, I'm sure he would not tell. They treated him so badly, how could he wish them well? Well, the parlor's now gone empty, there's nothing left to say. My father has departed, my mother's gone to pray. And there's rockets in the meadow, and ships out on the sea. The answer's in the forest, carved upon a tree. John loves Mary, does anyone love me? Thank you.
Better lighten it up a little.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. I think I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is the rainbow I've been waiting for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue sky. Look straight ahead, nothing but blue sky. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind.
It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. There we go.